Got it. Before we get started, I'm going to need to ask for a motion to modify our meeting agenda in two specific ways. First, to accept two corrections made to the agenda that was sent out last Thursday, a corrected version of which I believe was sent out yesterday. And then the second reason is to switch items 4 and 5 on the agenda to accommodate the Chancellor and Dr. Lee's schedules. And the two corrections that were made were to replace my name with Julie Tate's for roll call, and then to use the correct dates for the October minutes. So I, again, just to repeat, I need a motion to accept those two corrections and to switch items 4 and 5 on our agenda today.
Moved.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Is there any discussion about these corrections or the item switch? All right, if there is no discussion, then I would like a vote.
Okay, roll call vote.
Yes.
Okay. Eric Black. Amy Bro.
Yay.
Robert Broomfield. Ying Chen.
Yay.
Farhan Chowdhury. Lisbeth Jalala. Michael Eichholz. Okay, I see Eric Black. I see you. Scott Gilbert.
Yay.
I need to get my chats going. Yeah, Michael Hyland.
Yeah, yay.
Okay. Elaine Jerkowski. Arash Kamai. Sung Hee Lee.
Yes.
Yu-Ting Lee, I don't believe has joined us yet. Patrick McGrath.
Yes.
Clave Mexon. Grant Miller.
Yes.
Amanda Pangrazio. Mike Phillips. Jeffrey Punske.
Yes.
Bethany Rader.
Yes.
Ray Walker.
Walter Ray, yes.
Lorelei Ritchie.
Yes.
Diana Sarko.
Yes.
Sylvia Smith.
Yes.
Joseph Ceramic.
Yes.
Julie Tate, yes. Lee Cheng Wong.
Yes.
And I just got a message from Sherry Watson. She's running a little late. And then proxy for Rachel Whaley is Bill Danaher.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, does the motion pass?
Yes, I was just, yes, but I was just counting how many absences we had there.
Dr. Punske, you have a comment.
I have a point of order, and this is the same point of order I raised last time, that voting via roll call is not in our bylaws, nor is it in the standards of Robert's Rules of Order. I gave this to the executive committee and it apparently was not addressed. So I just want to reiterate that the voting procedures should not be done by roll call by default.
Any discussion on the point? Go ahead, Grant.
Yeah, I would agree that we don't need to do roll call now. Just for context, we did this in the past before we were doing recording live on YouTube. So we had an open invitation where anyone had the link. And so we had the accident of just random guests, public members voting on items. I think that if we just ask our ex officio, just as we would, as well as our invited guests, not to vote on matters, we can just use the participants where we have a thumbs up when we're voting yay, as well as nay, as well as abstain. And I think we could address that issue that way.
Any other discussion? Go ahead, Joe.
Will sort itself next month when we start having face-to-face meetings with the Senate. Because it'll be very obvious who the senators are in the room and who aren't.
Would you like to make a motion or just leave this as a discussion point?
Technically, there shouldn't be a motion. I mean, this is the voting we follow Robert's rules, and any standing rules that were passed under the last Senate are no longer in force. So, I mean, if we're following the bylaws and Robert's rules, then roll call vote is not the standard.
This was a court point of order.
Okay. Can we move on?
Here, so the point of order is.
Usually the chair would decide, right? Jeff, if this is a point of order, as you said, it wouldn't be a vote, but it would go to the chair of the meeting, who would then decide, make some ruling as to
Okay, I see.
this point. But it seems like it makes a lot of sense, and it would speed things up a little bit.
All right, then I will make a ruling that we will change our voting system for today to use the thumbs up on the Zoom screen. Is that acceptable to everyone? Okay. Again, make sure that you put the thumbs up at the when a vote is called. Make sure you take it down when the vote is over. And again, anyone that is not an official member of the Senate cannot vote. So make sure that if you cannot vote, you are not voting. All right, may we move on? Any more discussion? Okay. All right, so let's move on. And thank you, Dr. Punsky, I appreciate that. Let's move on to our next order of business, which is actually roll call. We haven't done roll call yet. Julie, do you want to do it by voice, or have you been doing roll call electronically?
I was just getting ready to start picking through and doing roll call. So
Okay.
it's totally up to you guys.
If you're okay with doing it electronically, we can just keep this
Okay.
going. Okay, so we will
Okay.
then move to our third order of business, which is approval of minutes from October 11th. Can I have a motion to approve? Or first, are there any corrections to the minutes that need to be made? All right, then can I have a motion to approve minutes from October 11th?
I move.
Okay.
Moved and seconded, and then can we have a vote? So all in favor, put up your hand. Raise hands now for in favor. Or thumbs up. Yeah. Now I have two things. Okay, Julie, let me know when you have the information.
It's impossible. Everybody's moving around.
Okay.
So they could just leave
raise-
them up. Can they just leave them up for a moment and I'll
Just
just pick through while they're hopping around?
Okay, keep your hand, do the raise hand. Sorry, maybe that is a better option.
Yeah, the
Yes.
thumbs up is just temporary, it disappears,
Temporary,
but the hand will stay.
Gotcha. So my apologies, everybody do a raised hand. And
Are we
Julie,
doing, I was going to say, are we not doing just like the hand raising on option in Zoom?
So, yeah, so on the screen.
It's in
on-
reactions.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, in
reactions.
the reactions, yes. That way I can,
And when you are ready, we will continue.
Julie, if it helps you, if you click on participants, you'll see on the right-hand side, instead of trying to count these on the boxes, just click on participants. The right-hand side should show a list of everyone, and you can do a count that way.
That's much easier. They're not moving around like they were.
Yeah, otherwise you have
It's-
the Brady Bunch boxes scrambled.
Well, right. And they move as people speak on my screen. They're moving. So, gosh, you guys, I hate this, like the pressure.
Oh,
Really what I'm trying to do is go through and see who does not have a hand raised.
I have 19.
19 hands.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody,
Okay.
all the yays, lower your hands. Any nays, as soon as they're cleared. Okay, any nays? Raise your hand. Okay, and any abstentions? Please raise your hand. All right. The motion passes. All right, so we will move on to our new number 4, which is the Q&A session with the Chancellor and the Provost. So I invite the Senate to then ask questions of both Chancellor Lane and Provost Raji. Are there any questions for the Chancellor and the Provost?
Question, this is Sylvia.
Yes, go ahead.
When is the faculty Senate survey about salaries going to be distributed?
Dr. Lee, I think I can answer that. So I don't know that we're distributing at this point a survey. What we are doing is, with the help of the Faculty Senate, I think Dr. Lee will have someone from the one of the committees on Faculty Senate that looks at budget, working closely with obviously HR and some areas here at looking at, I got someone knocking on my door. I was a little distracted there. I'm not sure who that is, but we'll work in on looking at the data that compares internally faculty to faculty. So really starting with collecting the data first to see exactly where people are. We did that with the AMP and Civil group, where we're able to look at exactly what salaries, how many years of experience folks were working here, to really get a sense of where people were. So that'll be our first step, is really just putting that group together and starting to pull the data so we can have a good idea about where people are within their salaries here.
So can I follow up with that? Thank you for that information. When will that process begin and how long will it take? Because I'm pretty sure we've been hearing about this since August. And so I want to know how long that process will take.
Yeah, I think just gathering the data for us will take at least through the end of the semester, early spring semester. Our civil process, for example, civil and AMP took actually about a year. I don't expect it taking that long. So I think Dr. Smith will probably at least be able to come back, at least no later than probably mid-spring, with the information that we're trying to time it before the budget for next year. So that kind of gives us a nice window to get it done. So I anticipate us knowing as soon as we know if we have some egregious cases like we did with AMP and Civil, we put the money right on those employees pretty immediately. So it didn't take long to do that. We do the same thing here. So it would happen probably before our budget launches for 2024. So I think mid-spring, we probably have a little more information there to be able to share with those that are going to be in positions where they'd be bumped up in those areas.
Okay, thank you. Good to know.
Yep, great question.
Diana, I see your hand is up.
Hi, yeah, thank you. I had a faculty member ask me a question about student voting and just wanted to bring that here. I just wanted to ask when new students come to campus, especially if they're from out of state, is there anything that happens on campus that helps them navigate the process so that they know how to vote, where they're registered, those sorts of things to help orient them? Because I also asked a few undergrad research students who were in my lab and they said they sort of didn't know how and weren't oriented to that. So I just wanted to see what resources were available for that.
Yeah, that's a great question, Dr. Sarko. So you know what happens is when the election time is here, we do a great job in making sure students know about it. And when the elections kind of die down, we don't talk about it at all. So I was just meeting with Jeff Bergen, our Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs, and that's where you would send them now. And it's a little confusing for kids out of state. It's like my own kids at school. They don't realize sometimes if you're registered in that county, in that area, just because you're from this place doesn't mean you can necessarily vote here. So it's very confusing. So he's got an initiative working with our student government and some other areas to really make sure students know how they can vote and where they can vote, because they get a little upset when they realize that, oh, I can't vote here in Jackson County on anything because I'm from Cook County. It's all that swirling thing that's out there that we're going to try and do a better job of making sure students know about it. Right now, it's probably not the best. We haven't done a good job in making sure they clearly know how to do that, but I can tell you, because it's so fresh on everyone's minds, Student Affairs is going to lead that effort up for us. So that's where right now we would send them. If they have questions, you can send them directly to Jeff Bergen, Student Affairs.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Mexon.
Yes, going back to faculty salary increase and merit, Chancellor, I have a question that was actually addressed by several people. You have a new faculty that are hired with certain salary per year, and you have old faculty that were hired with old salaries. I mean, despite them reaching the rank of associate or maybe full professors, they are still making far less. So how would you address the issue of bringing those faculty to, a certain level of salary, knowing that most of them, they will retire actually within the next probably 5 to 10 years. And it will help them actually a lot in regard of their services to the university, because the retirement is calculated based on their income. And they need to be at least in that salary, for a couple of years.
Yeah, that's one of the things when we work with Faculty Senate in structuring the methodology for how we're going to look at this, that will factor all those things in. For AMP and Civil, just to give you an idea, we had no controls in place. So you'd had folks that were hired in a year ago making more than someone that's been here 20 years. And so just trying to get that adjusted without penalizing the person, obviously, who came in making the money they made. We didn't take anything away, but we did bring people up to levels where they should have been based on years of experience and when they were obviously hired into that role. So we'll do that on this side, but I think working with our representative from the Faculty Senate, we're going to factor that in just so we can make sure we can cover all of those different angles. So at the end of the day, we just want to make sure that the equity is there. As I keep mentioning AMP and Civil, but you could see the egregious cases, whether it was by gender or just by position. There were no controls in place when offers went out. So that messed up a lot of the, where people were within those salaries. And so just trying to fix all of that stuff takes a little bit of time, but at least we've got some examples of what we can do to kind of help us get there. So that would be the idea, is when we put the methodology together, we communicate the methodology so everyone understands exactly how someone would get a bump or someone would get adjusted. That'll have to be very clear so we can explain that so people understand it.
Great, thank you. Dr. Danaher?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to ask the Chancellor or the Provost or anyone else who might know if there have been any plans to have a vigil for the shooting victims at the University of Virginia.
think, Dr. Danner, I think I heard the last part. You were breaking up a little bit on my end. If you're referring to the shootings at the University of Virginia and at the University of Idaho, I've talked briefly with our chief of police, with our vice chancellor of student affairs. I've not heard of any visuals that we're doing here. Our conversations were based more on our threat assessment team and what we have in place. That was actually an item I want to give an update on when I give my few minutes here. So I'll save that. But the threat assessment is what we talked about in terms of what we do here. And then response. And you guys remember probably from the fact, I don't know if it was the faculty executive or faculty senate, I mentioned our active shooter drill that we will have. I can't remember what group I was talking to with that, but talk a little bit more about our active shooting drill that we'll have in the spring semester. I don't know that I talked, Dr. Lee, to the full Senate about that. I'm getting all mixed up, but we are having an active shooting drill I talked about a couple of weeks ago, but visual, not yet. We hadn't talked through any visuals yet, but I can keep you posted. Usually our Dean of Students, Jennifer Jones and others would be the group to get with USG and put something like that together. Just not heard about them putting anything together right now.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Joe.
Hi, Dr. Lane. I want to just kind of bring us back to the recruitment workshop we had a couple weeks ago. Seems like a half semester ago already. So we're speeding along so fast. I thought it was very interesting. I want to kind of ask your takeaways. Two that I have that I'll share with you is one, I think everybody was a little more sober this year about what we can actually achieve in a given year, as opposed to outlandish targets that were barely met. And I think the second takeaway I had was there was perhaps too much presentation by everybody in leadership at the university and too little time for the colleges to actually discuss what we can do as a college towards our goals. I know when my college met, we only had about an hour before lunch was going to come, and we didn't get through, like maybe we got through 60% of the agenda items before we had to wrap up. So I don't know what you're planning for this December one, but that's just my feedback.
Yeah, two thoughts or responses on that. I think we're much more strategic in the goal setting based on data. So I was very pleased to see the groups really give us what they thought they could achieve in a year or a few months actually from now. We were setting, for those that may not remember, that meeting was a full recruitment retreat. And really for us to set some of the enrollment targets based on gains that we think we could achieve between now and fall 2023. So each of the deans gave us their numbers in terms of what they thought they could do from an enrollment standpoint. And then other supporting offices like admissions and those groups, they gave those percentages as well. And Joe, I agree with you, to make sure I didn't micromanage anything. I thought the discussions, I walked around each one of the teams and I thought there was some very lively discussions, and I would have loved for those to go on for maybe 2 or 3 hours, because I think they could have stayed and talked that long. And I agree. The first half was more of an 30,000 foot overview of kind of where we are, but maybe lessons learned for the next retreat is less talking on the presentation side. Now that we've got our structure in place, we don't have
Or
to
maybe
go,
it's an all day workshop rather than wrapping up at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, we just take it. I don't know that there was any reason why we had to end at 2. Yeah, we could have probably gone to 5 o'clock and been fine. But
right.
For the next retreat, we just take that into consideration. I'd be open to it, and I'm sure the team would as well. And I like the discussions that were taking place. So I think they were really on to something. Some of them even came back late from the break because they were talking. So overall, I thought it was very good. We talked about this 2 years ago. We wanted to put a little more structure around enrollment management. We wanted to have a plan. We wanted to have everyone involved. We wanted to know how they would grow and maybe in areas that are not growing, maybe what they needed to grow with. And so I think we're on the right track for having that foundation set now to we can really get even more strategic in how we're tackling the enrollment. And, you know, for us, I think it's going to be critical. We keep having those discussions.
All right, we have time for one or two more questions. Lee Chang.
Oh, hi. Yes, I want to shift the gear and then move a little bit above my report to this discussion. That is like a equity report. When I attended a faculty advisory council meeting, I heard about the 20 institutions already develop a 5-year plan. And I'm putting a link here. And this is where people can find about 25 institutions of Illinois. They were asked, I don't know whether that's true, Chancellor. They are asked to provide a 5-year plan for the equity. I was wondering whether SIUC has it, or are we developing one, or we already have one, it's just we didn't submit it to this place. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know that we've been asked to submit anything there. I can tell you though, internally, in our DEI office with Dr. Paul Frazier and some other areas, we are putting together that plan that looks at, particularly the plan you have there is focused on some groups from underrepresented populations. I know they're focused a little bit on how to improve those outcomes for Black and Hispanic or Latinx students. Our retreat on December 2nd, Dr. Wang will touch on that. That is a retention retreat. That mirrors really what we did November 2nd for the recruitment retreat. And we will be taking IBHE data that does focus on equity gaps that exist among those groups that I just mentioned. And we will be talking about that actually in a few short weeks as a retention retreat, and having everyone bring together what their targets are for retaining those groups from those populations. In addition to, it's something that we've been talking about even within the ranks of our faculty in terms of the diversity within the faculty and what we want to look like here at the institution. And so those discussions, again, that's an open invitation. That was part of my update here for December 2nd for those to attend, because you'll find out, like Joe did at the recruitment event, you'll find out a little bit more about the efforts of the university as it relates inside the Imagine SIUC plan of 2030, as it relates to DE&I and some of the equity concerns that we have out there. So I'm glad you brought that up. But yeah, that particular group, I don't know that we're in that group, but we've got a lot of work that's already underway.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to make sure SIUC is not far behind. I saw Northern Illinois University and all, other places maybe. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right, are there any other questions? Go ahead. Khalid?
Yeah. Yes, Chancellor, you mentioned something very important about diversity. And I must admit, SIU has done really a great job, lately when it comes to diversity and inclusion. However, we're a little bit still short, on some, when we talk diversity. There are groups within the university that are, I would say, still underrepresented when it comes to, the university's decisions, the universities, all places of the university. And some of the groups actually that I myself I'm involved in is actually, as you know, the US has recognized, the MENA region as they used to put us in white, and the reality is this is no white region. So the US has recognized it as a dependent, unit that should be included in the constituents of, the hiring process, which is actually the Middle East and North Africa. Any thought about how this could be achieved?
Yeah, so it's really the model we've been working off of for 2 years. When I arrived, I think one of the first meetings I had was with the African American faculty and staff, and then the Hispanic Latinx faculty staff. And they were not represented as a recognized constituency council. That was 2 years ago. They are now, right? So in order for them to have a voice at the table, they needed to be recognized. Thanks to Dr. Lee, now Asian American group is they're going through the process right now to be recognized as a constituency council. So that would be my advice, is to make sure we work together to get you recognized at the table. It does more than just have you meet with me as chancellor. It actually gives you a voice even with the board, right? There's an actual opportunity, if you wanted to express the concern or anything there, you'd have a voice even at the board. So I encourage that. I think it's good to have those voices, not only with me, but even with our board, if you wanted it. So that way, if you didn't like something that, that I came up with, you could say, okay, I'll go to the board. So, that's fine. And I think that's the beauty of this shared governance piece. So you can have a voice, you can express some concern. And then most importantly, we can work together to make sure that we change the culture right here at the institution, so we can be a model for other schools.
All right, thank you. Dr. Lee?
Well, I just have two comments, not questions. So, first of all, I want to thank Chancellor Nam for being here during his hectic schedule today, because originally he could not make it, then ask him to try his best. He is here. So given that he had a meeting with IBHE at this point very soon, and also interview with the candidates for those 4 candidates on campus this week. And second, I, the faculty member, I, the faculty senator and psychologist, and I would like to send my wholehearted congratulations to Dr. Mira Kumaraju, who moved to CSU Northridge as the provost. I have been enjoying working with you, Mira, and wish you best.
Thank you, Dr. Lee, and of course, congratulations to you, Mira. You will be sorely missed on campus. All right, if there are no other questions for the Chancellor and the Provost, I would like to move to their comments, after which I will be yielding the meeting back to Dr. Lee.
You guys keep stealing my thunder here. So I think you took about 5 or 6 items that I had on here. Now I get mixed up with what group I'm talking to, but I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Mira publicly. And I know I've done this in some other circles. So if you've been in those circles, I apologize. I'll do it again. Mira's been here 26 plus years at the institution. That's a very hard thing to do at any level, is to work at a place that long. And so I, like Dr. Lee, just wish Dr. Kamaraju well, going to a great university in California. They're doing some exciting things out there. They don't have all the enrollment issues that we have. I think it's about a 40,000 person campus, so they've got plenty of students, even though they may not think they have enough. I think they got plenty. We can get some of them here. That'd be great. But just publicly thank Mira for all her service and work, and I know she's going to go off and do a great job there. So thanks, Mira, for all you've done. As you guys know, we are in the throes of a national search for a replacement for Mira for provost. And as we speak, I think this is day 2 of the interviews that we've had for candidates who've made it to the final pool. So I want to thank Dr. Lee as chair of the committee, also with Kiefer, who is organized and working through that search. And then there's a number of folks on that committee. We sent out an SIU Today announcement, and we listed all of the folks on the committee. If you need to see who they are, again, let us know. We'd be glad to send that to you. But now is the time with those candidates who are coming on campus. I interview another one here in just a minute. It's really important that you take some time. I know you're busy, and I appreciate all the work you're doing. But take a little time to get to know the candidates and ask some questions. They're fair game right now. Now's the time to do it. And one of the four will be someone that hopefully will be the next provost that will be here to work and serve you. So it's very important we get the feedback. We do look and read that information. I will personally take that into consideration, especially if it's coming from a faculty member. So, take some time if you can to be involved in that search. We hope to know pretty soon here before we leave for break. If we have a candidate that's worthy of being the next provost, and we'll make that offer and move forward. That's my hope. That's wishful thinking. If for some reason we don't, then we won't. We'll go back to the drawing board. But my hope is that we will have someone that will be named that will be here to support our faculty. So please take part in that. There's some other new faces you'll see around campus. Our new CFO is here, Susan Simmer. She came from Montana State. She's going to do, I think, a great job. She and I will meet quite often between now and in the next week, and then she'll have time to download with all of our cabinet members and our constituency leads. So Dr. Lee, you'll have an opportunity to meet in with her. Jeffrey, I'm going to work some time in there for me and you to get in there with her as well. I think it's important that you get to know her too. And so she's our new CFO, and you'll be able to meet her. And she's going to take about 30 days to even meet in with some of the budget managers that are in your departments and areas, just to get a feel for how she can better support those employees that are in your area that really have their hands on the budget. And we've got to do a better job there and making sure that those folks feel a little more supported in terms of what they're doing. We also have a new CIO, Will Clark, who's not new. He's been here a while, but he was in the finalist pool for the CIO position. And he is the named CIO that will be in that role. Will also do a very similar listening and learning tour with a lot of folks in your area as it pertains to technology and technology needs and those kinds of things. I've asked him to really spend the first 30, 60, 90 days just going around to your areas and getting to know what some of the needs are that are out there, and not assuming we already know that. So he's going to be working through a lot of that over the next couple of weeks. HR director will have a national search for HR. I will tell you, we've had to change the title on that. So if you notice, it's not just director of HR, it's moved to more of an assistant vice chancellor for a couple of reasons. The applicant pool, we've had a failed search there before, and the applicants that we're receiving, we're just not attracting the kind of applicant we need to take HR over. We've got a lot of issues in HR that I've got some concerns about, and we really need that HR leader. There's no knock on anyone who's there, but it's just it's a pretty big job, and we need a different title there that obviously will help us, I think, attract an HR professional that can help us in certain areas of campus that we need some work on. So Whit Kiefer is working with us on that to get something going there. That's an area we really need to move on. You heard Joe mention about our recruitment retreat. I thought that went very well. That's something we'll do every year, and something you can be involved in as much as you want to be involved in. I think it's good to see the targets that are being set with the deans, the initiatives that are happening in those schools or colleges, and then what's happening overall in terms of what we're trying to hit with enrollment. So I think that's going to be a good thing to stay involved in. Retention retreat will happen on December 2nd. Again, open invitation. That'll be an all-day piece. Now with Joe's comments, I have to make sure we make sure we don't talk as much on the administrative side on that one. So it's helpful for this retreat going in. But we will want to set targets as it relates to persistence, progression, graduation rates, all of those things that we want to do to retain students. We'll set the targets the same way we would on how we recruit them. We'll do it on the retention side as well. One thing, it came up very briefly, I think Bill mentioned this, but then we stopped short of it. Two things he mentioned I'll come back to is faculty merit pool. We had a meeting, our first meeting last week. about bringing back, I guess at one point it may have been here years ago, but bringing back a faculty merit pool. We'll look at the methodology for what we want to do there. There was a lot of talk about some schools or areas where we already have it in print in terms of what we used to do. I'm just going to verify that people are okay with that. So I'll be working very closely with Dr. Lee on that to kind of make sure we get a final piece. My idea is that we would have this merit pool available in the new fiscal year. So the evaluation of whether it be from deans, this would only be for faculty, not for staff out of the first round. So the idea is that the deans at the end of this year would start to make those decisions based on, what they believe to be of merit. And then they would have a pool to be able to distribute that. We're trying to toy between whether that merit is included in the base salary or if it's a one-time bonus. I'm leaning towards it being in the base salary. This pool could be upwards of 300 some odd thousand to about $500,000. So as you know, merit pools have a limit there. And so that pool would be then allocated by dean to faculty member based on, whatever criteria that we all agree is something that would be worth someone receiving merit. Again, that will not be driven by the administration. I'm going to really count on Dr. Lee and some others on this committee to really, push what direction we want to go there. My job really is just to make sure we've got the money to do it. And that's really the biggest piece. I think we will have the money to do it with the amount that I just gave you, in addition to us looking at a 2% salary increase in the next fiscal year. We're already looking at the numbers there to look at what we want to do next year. And that's again based on tuition revenue. It's based on our state appropriations and those things. If those all hold well, that's why we're looking at it so early, because we want to be ready for it if we hit those marks. So those are just a few things from the business standpoint of the House. As far as the threat assessment, I'll have to come back around to you. We have a threat assessment committee, and I know, as Bill mentioned, you're probably thinking about the shooting at the University of Virginia or the shootings there that occurred, in addition to the shooting in Idaho. Those are terrible situations there. And I'll be honest with you, even though you can be ready and primed and ready, you're still never ready for something like that when it happens. So what we're focused on now is we do have a team of professionals that meet about monthly, and they do actually talk about cases that need attention. And these are sometimes students that may be displaying certain behaviors that is requiring us to put more attention on them through our Rights and Responsibilities Office and Student Affairs, or through our Chief of Police. If you had to find out what happened every day, it'd probably make your head spin about how many students sometimes we have to focus in on, and in some cases even leave or remove them from the university. We've had to do quite a bit of that actually this fall. For a number of different reasons. And so what I'll do is make sure, at least, Dr. Lee, if you can remind me, I'll bring back some of the summary or the minutes without obviously having the student name there, but I can bring back some summaries of what that threat assessment committee is talking about. And most importantly, if we're acting on anything, I can also share with you some of the threats that we've been able to work through and handle. So at least you have an idea there is a committee that looks at that. It's not that some people are not on the radar. In this case, even in Virginia, that person had actually been recognized or cited on a threat assessment committee months ago, right? So they did at least have some information about what was going on there. And I think over the next couple of weeks, we're going to find out a lot more going forward. So at any rate, our active shooter drill, if I didn't mention this with this group, we are going to have an active shooter drill in the spring semester. That will involve the entire university, not just a building or a certain area like it has in the past. So I don't want to alarm anyone, but it is going to be period of a couple of hours where the entire university goes through a scenario, an active scenario where there's an active shooter actually here. And we will go through everything that we're supposed to do when that happens. So on that day, you'll know about it ahead of time because you'll have a lot of police here and others that will be here, and you'll hear a lot of announcements and those kinds of things. But we're going to work that scenario from an active shooter all the way to a post-active shooter, where we would be talking to the media, who would be talking to the media, what would we be communicating, how the administrative team would be communicating, how I would be communicating with Dr. Lee as faculty senate president. All of those things, we will go through a full scenario so that we at least have some preparation. At least in my 2 years of being here, we haven't done that. Places I've been before, we've had at least every year. So I'll take the blame on that one because that's something we want to at least have every year. That way we're all at least in tune to what's going on. So hate to end that on a sad note there, but that's just a few updates. Last one, December 17th, commencement. Thanks last year, everybody came through. I mention this all the time. Nobody remembers the chancellor 20 years from now, right? Everybody remembers the faculty member. And I need faculty to, if you can make it on the 17th, it would be much appreciated. I always try and do a really good shout out to our faculty that are there. I really hope you can attend. Again, I think our students would appreciate that. We got a little tradition where we have you now running through a high five line. So if you want a high five on your way out to sit in the stands, you're gonna get that again. If you show up to commencement. So look forward to seeing each of you there. Hope you're having a great semester. I know it's been a long one, but also pretty short. It's gone pretty fast. But we've still got a couple of weeks to go. I'll stop there and answer any questions.
Go ahead, Khalid.
Is it okay if I ask a question? Yes. So,
Yes.
Chancellor Lee, Dane, I have one question here. And this is something I've seen it actually, in certain places when they have a gathering of more than 25 people, and some they do it with, 50 people. I know we'll have, several gatherings here in SIU, whether it's sport events or other events, related to students. Would it be possible, with these shootings, and I'm not being paranoid here, so just a suggestion, to put actually a metal detector, at the entrance of those events. So that would prevent people, from coming with guns or anything that could harm, a large number of people.
Yeah, I know we do that at our student events where there's a wand. It's not so much the metal detector walkthrough, but at our large concert events or the student events that are here, we do have a requirement where the police have to be there to work the event. A lot of that's overtime, but it's money well spent. But there's also a detection, a wanding that they have to go through. I was out at the Young Gravy concert the other day during homecoming and was able to watch, yeah, Young Gravy. Go look him up if you don't know who he is, but the kids loved him. It was sold out. But they had to walk through the wanding process, which I thought was good because some of those were not our students. Some were outside folks that were not students. So we really pay close attention. When we have some of our issues, 9 times out of 10, it's because there's someone not affiliated with the university that attended and caused a problem. So, anytime we have an event open to the public, is definitely a wanding opportunity in police presence because we don't know what we're going to get that comes in. And we've been pretty lucky this fall. But sure enough, I say that, something will happen. So I shouldn't have even said anything there. We've still got a couple of weeks to go. So I'll just move on to the next question on that one. I jinxed myself with that one. I shouldn't have said anything.
Yes, knock on wood.
You can't see my hands underneath. That's exactly what I did.
All right, Michael, quick question.
Just real quick, and if I missed it in your addresses, I apologize, Chancellor. Are there any plans to just up the amount of police that just patrol, like actually walk the university. My 8 years here, I don't really recall too many times I've ever actually seen a campus officer actually walking the university, walking the buildings, or anything like that. One thing, my alma mater had a shooting, and in response, we just had more of a police presence on campus. It just kind of, I think, made people feel a little bit more at ease, especially walking, even if it's just walking out at night. And like I said, I've never seen, I've seen patrol cars, drive the loop, but I've never seen actual officers walk the community, walk the buildings, or do anything like that. Is there any plan for something like that? Thank you.
Michael, you must have been at our meeting yesterday. You're right. That was one of the concerns that I had. We talked yesterday, obviously, about threat assessment and some other things, and we talked about police presence. And one of my recommendations to our chief was that we do two things. One, get out of the cars. And you're right, it's more of a driving around, or they're sitting, but we need to be out in the middle of campus, because you don't really see anything on the outside if you don't see anything in the middle if you're on the outside. So, and the other, we talk about this spring, a bike patrol. Some universities will have the officers on the bikes, and they can really get into the middle of our institution. Since we have such a circular campus, it's more important to be in the middle than sometimes even on the outside if something happens. So there is some discussion there about shifts, the officers that are working certain shifts, and then how many we can actually get on foot to just patrol. That you're very astute in seeing that. You don't see a lot of us officers walking the campus, and we'll do a better job in changing some of that and getting a little more of a visible officer walking through even a building, in some cases, just randomly walking through. That we do have to do a better job there. I'm glad you pointed that out.
All right, thank you for your questions. And in interest of time, let's move to Provost Kamaraji's report.
Thank you, Bethany. I want to take a second to thank everyone for your warm wishes. It's not easy to leave SIU after a long time. I have a lot of fond memories because I received lots of opportunities to learn and grow, and that has helped me secure the position that I will be moving to. So always grateful to SIU. A few update items. One is that the training deadline for the harassment and discrimination training is the end of this month. And we are hoping that we don't have to chase down too many people, as we had to do with the ethics training, which had a deadline of October 31st. So requesting all faculty to get the training done, and also to reach out to your colleagues to get that done. Spring registration has opened in week 10. And we're hoping to get as many students registered before they go off for the break, because it's harder to reach them during the break. So that's something that we're working on. There was a question sometime back in Faculty Senate about how many faculty hires we have for fall 23. So the number is 42, and we had about 44 retirements or resignations. That number is not set in stone, because even like 2 weeks ago, we heard of a retirement, and so that number can increase a little bit, but that is what we have as of today. Then the other update is that in terms of advisement, it had become centralized in 2017. We're now moving to a decentralized model where the chief academic advisors report to the dean along with the respective academic advisors. But we're also retaining some of the pros or the features, best features of centralized advisement, where the chiefs are going to continue meeting. So they're all on the same page. So that's what we are moving to. And then you already heard about the enrollment management workshop. And that was something that we did on one day, but the work had already been going on within the colleges and schools. And that work will continue to go on so that we are able to secure a large class for fall 2023. And the last update is just the enrollment update that I've typically given. So for fall 2023, we are 40 weeks out. So in terms of first-time, full-time freshmen, and Josh, I'll send you the data. The applications are up 20.5%. We are at 8,000 applications. We have admitted 4,227, which is 18.2% up. For on-campus transfer students, both the applications and actionable applications are up. Applications are up 28%. Admissions are down 9.9%, but that is something that they can get caught up on. The online transfers, online and off-campus are down, both in terms of the applications about 19% and admissions are down 39%. So that's an area that we have to work on. And the last one, in terms of graduate students, we are up by 13% and down by just a few students, admitted students. So with that, I will pause, and I don't know if there's time for questions, but
maybe one quick one. We're quickly running out of time. With such good discussion, it's worth it. All right. If there are no quick questions, then thank you both Provost Kamaraju and the Chancellor for being here and the reports and answering our questions. We will move on to Dr. Lee's report, at which point I am now yielding the meeting to him.
Okay, thank you so much, Bethany, for covering this meeting for me. As you know, there are 4 provost candidates on campus. This is today we had the second one from noon time to 1. Obviously, it's public information, public forum. I encourage you to see those video. And before my report, I also express my appreciation to my colleague Bethany and Junie Ted, and also George Freak for their outstanding jobs. So whenever I need any help, they're always available. And especially Josh, we cannot function well without George Freak's work. So Josh, thank you so much for your outstanding job in the constituencies office. You serve 3 constituencies. So Faculty Senate is just one of them. So George, thank you so much for your excellent work for us. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. As you know, our October's issue, Faculty Senate update and FIU newsletter, with FIY newsletter went out to all the faculty members by the end of October. In addition, I have a few business matters to report to you. First, as the Provost Search Committee Chair, I had a meeting with 2 of the Whitkeefer Search Consultant on October 17th. At the meeting, we discussed the draft agenda for the Common Search Committee meeting, which scheduled at the end of October. Second, on October 17th and October 20th, I participated in 2 interviews of the Chief Information Officer, CIO, candidates to represent the Faculty Senate. On October 18th and 19th, due to my schedule conflict, Senator Patrick McRoss and Senator Ilan Joukowsky helped me and participated in 2 other interviews of the CIO candidates. I wish to express my appreciation and gratitude to both senators, that means Dr. McRoss and Dr. Joukowsky, for their time and collaboration in representing the Faculty Senate in this process. Number 3, third, on October 20th, I had a Zoom meeting, actually MS team, Microsoft team meeting with Chancellor and Provost Kamaraju and Associate Provost Mark Morris. We talked about such issues as operating papers of the schools and the colleges, and appointment of school director and faculty raise and internal equity adjustment. In fact, for the operating paper and school director, it was covered in our newsletter. Number 4, with regard to the provost search, on the afternoon of October 25th, and we held a meeting with regard to search committee member. That means we held a meeting with all the search committee members. We discussed and decided a list of semi-finalists for the Zoom meeting, which was scheduled in early November. So as planned, the finalists are invited for campus interview in middle November. And number 5, October 26, I attended the FACSS Council meeting chaired by the SIU System Vice President, Dr. Gorish Gochab. As you know, FACSS stands for the Faculty Affairs Council of SIU System. Again, we discussed the faculty welfare issues and its membership, as well as more collaboration between SIU faculty and SIUC faculty and SIUE faculty. And I shared with you the information. In fact, I shared the information with our Faculty Senate Executive Council member by email. Number 6, on November 2nd, I attended the university strategic enrollment retreat to represent the Faculty Senate. On November 3rd, November 4th, I attended 2 full days Zoom interview of a number of semi-finalists, and then the search committee voted to select top 4 candidates who are invited for campus interview this week. As you know, this is public information, and you know those 4 candidates. And their CV and cover letter are online. And number 7, on November 10th, due to the conflict of my schedule, I wish to express my appreciation to Senator Patrick McRoss for attending a meeting on faculty merit pool system with Chancellor and Provost Office to represent the faculty senator. And final notes, one more thing, I wish to express my appreciation to Senator Seung-Hee Lee and Senator Khalid Maxim for serving on the panel of interviewing those 4 candidates on campus, ask them the question at noon time this week from Monday to this Thursday. Thank you, Senator Maxim and also Senator Seung-Hee Lee. Any question and comments for me? Well, if there's no question, we are going to move to number 6. Am I right, Bethany?
You are correct, yes.
Okay. Faculty Senator Executive Council had a meeting last 2 weeks ago. We decided and voted on November 1st, that means 2 weeks ago. We will have a hybrid faculty Senate meeting started on December 13th. Now, hybrid, okay, if you want to choose to be online connected, it will be available, but at least for me, I will be there physically. If you are interested to be there physically, absolutely, you are invited, you are welcome. Any question, comments about this decision?
I will comment and say I'm very pro
Thank you.
hybrid meetings.
Okay, if there is no more comments, no more question, so we are going to meet both actually either for some of you, you're welcome to do it in person. For some of you continue to be Zoom, that will be fine. At least to get it started, making progress. I look forward to it. Okay, may we move to number 7? Report, thank you. Because of time, so number A, I skip it. I just did it. Thank you. And we're going to move to B, election committee. Chair Bethany Reader.
All right, thanks. So the elections committee is dealing with 2 elections right now. The first is a special election for the Senate to try and fill the 6 open seats. And just as a reminder, that is 1 in CHHS, 3 in CAM, 1 in CECTM, and 1 in School of Medicine. If you're in those colleges, you should have received a call for nominations. Please, if you can, encourage people to provide nominations. We really want to make sure we get these seats filled, especially before we have to reallocate in the spring semester. And if there are any errors that you find in our lists, please let us know as well. We do the best we can with the lists we're given. But of course, there are probably some errors as well. So just keep that in mind. And then the second election we're working on is the JRB election. So this year we have 4 seats that we need to fill. The operating paper states that the nominees for the JRB shall reflect the diversity of colleges on campus. So we took that last year and are taking that again this year to mean that we want at least 1 member from each voting unit to have a representative on the JRB. So that means that of the 4 seats we have to fill, we have CECTM and the Schools of Education that currently have no members on the JRB. So those are our priorities. We will have 1 empty seat or 1 person leaving that is from CLA. So we will be refilling that. And then we have an open seat that we are going to send out a nomination to CALP. So at that point, all of the voting units will have 1 representative on the JRB. So this extra seat was sort of a conundrum. How are we going to fill that? And so we went with the college that had the biggest majority of, the highest number of full professors, which is CALPS. I also took the numbers, the FTE for full professors, and ran it through the Huntington Hill to see if that also correlated with CALPS having the highest FTE for full professors, and that was the case. So the committee voted, or the committee approved using or filling that 4th seat with someone from CALPS. Those nominations should, or call for nominations, excuse me, should go out on Wednesday. And so that means that by December meeting, we should have a list of names for special election, for Senate, and then 4 names for the JRB, or candidates for the JRB for us to vote on. Let me know if you have any questions.
Any question for the Vice President and Chair of this committee, election committee?
All right.
Well, no question. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know that the Faculty Status Welfare Committee and co-chair Scott Gibbert and Arash Komoi, and I know Scott has to teach, he left, and Arash Komoi, he is on sabbatic. I'm not sure today he's here or not. But in the case he's not here, and they send me the email, there are 2 items to report to the faculty senator. 1 funding for the faculty. In a way, that means, okay, the Vice Chancellor Research sent a proposal to them, and also a copy to me about faculty member travel, especially if they travel to some certain funding agencies. So the university research office can fund it. Again, for more information, I encourage you to contact Dr. Scott Gibbert. Another item from this committee is faculty faculty wellness survey from the system, and I think it was done 1 year ago, and they showed the data. In fact, I passed the data to the executive council, and include Scott Gibbert and Rash Komoi. And any of you on the Faculty Status Welfare Committee want to add something? I think there are a few of you on the committee. Any of you want to add something more based on the email they sent to me? He sent to me.
I'll add something. There are 2 travel a proposal for two different kind of travel funding, one for presentations and one for granting, to go to granting agencies. So those are two separate kinds of travel grants they're talking about.
Yeah. Thank you very much for clarification. Any other comments for this committee? Otherwise, we're going to move to the next one. Okay. It seems to me that no more comments for Faculty Status Welfare Committee, and we're going to move to Undergraduate Education Policy Committee. Senator George Remick, all floor is yours. I know you are going to take as much time as you want.
Okay, so bear with me today. I got a very bad cold from a conference I went to this weekend. So I'm a little, I hope I don't sneeze on everybody virtually. We have three, we have one NUI for discussion and two R&E. So I'd first like to bring up the NUI for consideration. This is an NUI, a new unit of instruction, in case you're not familiar with IBHE acronyms. And I see Dr. Calvert is here representing the program of mathematics. And this is to create a new Bachelor of Science program in statistics. So if Dr. Calvert would like to give a statement or anything, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. We've had inquiries from students for a number of years now at all levels, bachelor's, master's, and doctorate, about academic programs in statistics as opposed to mathematics. What we've had in the past is a math major with enough electives that they could concentrate in statistics if they wanted to, but they were still taking some overhead in straight theoretical math that had little to do with statistics. This would be a program that would offer them a directly statistics degree. There is not a lot of competition in this space. A student sitting in Memphis or in St. Louis or a number of other places pretty far away would have this as their closest public option for a bachelor's degree in statistics. It's a highly employable degree. It makes use of resources already in place, courses we're already teaching, faculty we already have. Seems to me a great benefit to students for a low investment from the university.
Are there any questions or comments about this proposed NUI? I will share I've already shared this with Wesley on email, but I will share and put it in the minutes for today. The Undergraduate Education Policy Committee, when we met 2 or 3 weeks ago, enthusiastically supported this in the end, but we did want it raised about the chance for collaboration across disciplines in across campus that also work with applied statistics. This was brought to my attention also last week by Senator Eichholz, and in zoology, psychology, economics. There are various programs. That's not an exhaustive list by any means. So what are your plans once you get this NUI up and running, assuming that the IBHE approves it also, for those collaborations?
So this sounds real good to us. Exactly what form those collaborations would take is hard to say because those discussions haven't happened yet, because the program hasn't existed yet. My perspective on this is much like I told some of my colleagues as we were designing the requirements, and there would be very minute discussions of how to divide topics into classes. And I would say, look, I think we can spend decades fine-tuning this and making it the perfect delivery. We got to have a program to be able to make those kind of judgments. And I think also for a lot of these collaborations, there are lots of people doing statistics on this campus, and we would welcome work with any of them. I think there's great potential for the students there, but I think it helps to have the program in place so that we know what shape those discussions can take.
Is there any other comment today? If not, I'd like to move the question.
Anyone
second.
second?
I'll second.
Good, thank you. So if there's no more discussion and we're going to vote, I think I was told that we can vote electronic by hands, right?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
So,
Just raise the
let's-
hands electronically.
so let's start with the yays.
Yeah, yes, yes. Okay, thank. So only for the faculty senator, please. If you're a guest, not a senator, please do not raise your hands. So how many hands, Junie?
Yeah, let us know when you have to count.
Okay, so approved or passed, okay. Or anyone's nay, I'm sorry, nay. Please note down your hands. Note down. Kanit? Okay, so do you want to, is this a nay or what? Okay. So any nay? Okay, no nay, absent, no abstention. Okay, good. This resolution carried over, carried forward, yes, passed. Next one, please, Joe.
Okay, so then I would like to bring up for discussion today a resolution recommending approval of an RME to create a dual Bachelor of Science / Juris Doctor program between Communication Studies and the SIU School of Law. As I discussed with you last month when we saw a similar one of these, we're going to see more of these as in the next few months, if not years. And it's dealing with creatively, it's various programs across this university and across the country. They're trying to deal creatively with a student debt crisis, particularly when it comes to law schools, and figuring out if there was any strategic way we can further bolster enrollment, recruit very good students we have at the undergraduate level who want to have a career in the legal profession, to create what is colloquially known as a 3+3. So this is what this is. It's got wide support across both Communication Studies and the School of Law. Is there anybody from either of those programs on the call with us today? I know. So acting associate provost Yupa had to leave for a meeting, so I don't know if anybody's here to represent. Oh, I see Craig. Craig, you are here. So I'll turn it over to Craig if anybody wants to ask a more specific question. But this was unanimously supported in committee level. And so if there's any questions, Elaine?
Thank you. I have a question just curricularly, and maybe this is a non-issue, but I'm just, the BS program is a bachelor's level. When we're looking at the concurrency, we're using undergraduate electives courses to fill in with the JD component. So the question I have is, like, how does that work when you are working across levels of programs, bachelor's versus, a higher level of education, to create a dual degree, essentially? And is that something that, I'm assuming it's acceptable because with others, but I just don't, somebody asked me that since our last meeting. And so I just wanted to clarify that.
I think I have an answer from CMST, but Amira has her hand up, which probably is a better answer.
Or do you have a provost-wide answer to that?
Yeah, just a broader level answer. When we had introduced our accelerated masters, the idea is that our upper level classes, the 400 level classes, 9 of the credits would be counted towards the master's degree. And so that's the same logic that we're using for this 3+3, is that what you learn in your final year of your undergrad is given some credit for your law degree.
Okay.
Right. And the way, and we have a 4+1 in history towards a 5-year master's, and we're looking to also eventually create our own 3+3 for law school. And you're not officially admitted into the graduate program until you have, and I would assume it's the same case with the law program, until you actually are conferred with a bachelor's degree. So that you may be on track to count that in the accelerated, but you're not officially admitted at all until you graduate college. So from a technical point of view, that last year is only counting at first towards a bachelor, or it's conferring the bachelor's. And then once you're admitted after you've graduated, then I guess it counts towards the graduate curriculum or the professional curriculum.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other comments or questions? Well, like in which case, I'd like to also move the question here.
Anyone second?
I'll second again.
Thank you, Bethany. So if there's no more discussion, we're going to start to vote electronically. And the first one, if you support this program, approve, please raise your hands. Nay. So how many?
So there's just been some discussion back and forth. Do you want me to count specifically each yay? Do you want to count to them?
Yeah, yes, please. How many?
I show 20.
I show 20 as well.
Okay, good. So 20 say yes, support it, and any say nay. Please lower your hand first before, or make sure you lower down. So if you voted no or nay, do not support, raise your hand. Okay, no, zero, nay. Any abstention? No, doesn't, okay.
Okay, so then
right. Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, okay, so you wrapped that second vote up officially? We're ready to go for the third one?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so then the third item for today is a resolution recommending approval of the RME to eliminate 2 specializations in public safety management. Public safety management, as of 2016, has 3 specializations: fire service, emergency medical services, and emergency management administration. 2 of these have subsequently fallen well short of the enrollment targets necessary for IBHE for amount of degrees conferred. And the program is proposing to eliminate those 2 specializations to keep the third one, which has robust enrollment, as well as the ability to major in public safety management without specialization. So again, this seems like a no-brainer to the committee. We endorse this unanimously with the added statement from members of the committee also that we appreciate faculty looking at their programs from time to time, seeing what falls short of expectations and, remedying that rather than having programs sometimes that are still in the undergraduate catalog that actually are hard to justify. So that was a statement made a couple of weeks ago on our committee level of this. And I open it up to if there's any representative. Again, the acting associate provost had to step out for another meeting. So if there's any representative of this program that can speak more directly to this, or please make yourself known, because I don't know everybody on campus. Anybody may hear from, I see Dr. Yupa, you are here. Okay. Do you have anything you want to add to that, Andrew?
No. Yeah, the two specializations are low in enrollment. They want to focus resources on the one that has a very strong enrollment, and this is one way of doing that.
Comments or questions?
So no more comments, no more question.
Then I think I'll move it. I would like to move the question.
Anyone to second?
I'll second.
Okay. Oh, okay, we have 2 seconds. One is Bethany, another Denise. Which one? Which? Okay. All right. Bethany second. Oh, so we're going to vote yes, support it. Yeah. Raise up your hands electronically. Okay.
I count 20 again.
20, okay. So please lower your hand. So Mike Phillips, could you please, okay, good. So nay, please raise up your hands if you do not support this program or remove or do not support this resolution. Okay, any absentee? Okay. Okay, the resolution was approved, supported. So we move on. Thank you so much, Joe.
That's the end of my report this month. Thank you.
Thank you. And also, other committee member of UEPC, always the hardest working group, working horse. Thank you so much, Joe and other committee members. Now we're going to move to the budget committee. I know that Mike just sent me the email that he couldn't be here, and the co-chair Farhan is on sabbatic. It seems to me there's no report, as far as I know. At least that's what I got. Okay. Now we're going to move to committee on committee, and we have a co-chairs, Yinan Jokovsky and Sung-Hee Lee.
Okay, thank you. We have just one item. We would like to recommend Amy Bro to be a co-chair for the committee or for the UEPC committee effective January. And although she will begin to phase in that responsibility now till the end of the semester in order to provide support for the committee as Joe Shremick sails away in the sunset on his sabbatical. So I propose a motion to that effect.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Joe, who seconded? Joe, right?
Bethany.
Bethany.
Okay, okay, thank you, Bethany. So we're going to vote for this. So all in favor, say I can raise up your hands electronically.
I counted 18 yeses.
Same.
Okay.
19. I think it's 19.
19. Could you raise up your hands again and make sure it's just raise up your hands again, make sure it's accurate. And I know it makes no difference, but we just want to, if you support this resolution, raise your hands electronically.
I have 19 this time.
19, okay. So please lower your hand. So if you do not support nay, please raise your hand. Okay, so any abstention?
Just didn't want to vote for myself, so.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, congratulations. I think this is confirmed. Thank you so much, Senator Amy Bro. You are very dedicated to the faculty senator. We enjoy working with you. Looking forward to working with you for the UEPC committee. Appreciate your leadership. Any question, comments for Committee on committee? Any
Hey,
other?
I have one more announcement, Dr. Lee.
Yeah.
So I want to thank everyone for encouraging their colleagues to volunteer for committees, faculty committee or faculty senate representatives and faculty representatives on committees. We're looking for 2 more individuals to fill spots that were needed to be vacated because the individuals in them were in administrative roles. So if you would encourage your colleagues to maybe volunteer and let them be in touch with us, that would be great. And that is our report.
Thank you. I saw Joe, you have a hands on. You raise your hands.
I put my comment in the chat.
Oh,
Save
okay.
Save our time today.
Good. Great. Thank you.
I have a quick question for Elaine. Just really quickly. So the volunteers you need, are they just really quick? I just don't think I got what you're saying. Are they Senate members or are university at large?
They can be Senate members or they can be faculty members. And the 2 roles that we need to fill are the Public Safety Committee and a Graduation Appeals Committee.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any more comments or question for Yinan and Sung-Hee? Well, if not, we're going to move to Governance Committee. Co-chairs Patrick, Mike Ross, and Khalid Maxim. Are you there? Patrick and Khalid?
Yes.
Yes. I don't know if I'm wondering if Khalid, do you want to go first or should I go?
No, there is actually no item to report about. So we have not heard anything of any operating paper from any other schools that was forwarded to us. So, and there is nothing in my case that, could be reported about. So, Patrick?
We just have the one matter about the parliamentarian. I did send an email to the members of the governance committee asking if they would asking for general thoughts and discussion about whether they would be open to the possibility of the parliamentarian being appointed from the current Senate. So the parliamentarian would be an actual senator. And I received only one response, and that response was positive regarding the notion of a sitting senator being a parliamentarian. So I can request again any feedback from the governance committee, but I suppose the next step would be to see if we would like to vote as a governance committee on this matter and then forward the results of that vote to the executive committee at our next meeting, which I'm assuming it's in December, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's my plan. If anybody has any thoughts about that or input.
I think that's a good idea. Any question for him before I ask him a question about something else? Okay, Senator Patrick Macross, I know this question maybe we need to Faculty Status Welfare Committee because last week I could not attend the faculty merit pool system meetings. And thank you so much for being there, as I acknowledged in my report. And also thank you for sending the email to share it with the Executive Council. I would like you to report the meeting which you attend to the entire Faculty Senate for a minute. Would that be okay with you?
Oh, yes, that's fine. So as Dr. Lee said last Thursday, I attended a meeting of was mostly administrators of the chancellor, Associate Provost Morris, and a few other individuals. And this was regarding the possibility of faculty receiving merit pay or a merit increase for possibly this coming year. And again, I just want to be very, very clear that the administration, they're not certain that they will have the funds for merit pay or a merit increase. But they're hopeful, it seemed to me, at the meeting that might be available. And basically the purpose of the meeting was to determine whether or not there are actual processes in place at the department and academic unit level to determine, to make merit evaluations. And as I said in the meeting, and this is just simply from my own experience, since I've been at SIU since 2015, there has never been any merit increase or merit pay. But our operating paper in the School of Literature, Writing, and Digital Humanities, we do have an appendix which clearly outlines how merit pay should be determined. And so that was at least, I think, a positive from the meeting, that the administration was informed that most departments do have a mechanism for evaluating merit. And I'm trying to think if there was anything else to mention. It was really mostly preliminary, so it was just kind of talking about, as I said, the systems for awarding merit, and but the administration seems hopeful that if there are funds available, perhaps in the spring, there would be a merit. This was one point, an interesting point that was discussed, whether it would be a permanent salary increase or whether it would be more of a bonus, the merit. So that was something that I think the administration is still trying to determine. So anyway, I will stop there.
Well, we have a hand from Senator Jeffrey Pansky. Senator Pansky.
Yeah, I just have a general question about the Senate's role in determining merit and other types of salary issues. I'm speaking in part because I'm president of the SIUC Faculty Association, and this is a contractual matter. Merit is determined by the CBA and then enforced through the operating papers. So I'm wondering what the role envisioned for the Senate here is, and this, if there's going to be merit for both tenured and tenure track faculty and for non-tenure track faculty. Both bargaining units need to be are the primaries on this, not the Senate.
Well, excellent question, Senator Pansky. I absolutely agree with you, because I was contacted by the provost office and the chancellor's office to attend the meeting. I had no clue, so I had to send a message to the executive council members, which was open, and then I need volunteers. And then, Senator Patrick McCross helped me cover the meeting. So perhaps Provost Cumaracho, what's your perspective, the response to Senator Pansky, who is the president of Faculty Association? Provost Cumaracho?
Yeah, I mean, my sense would be that the chancellor would probably have the answer to that question.
Okay.
The logic for including the faculty senate, my sense of it is, because I've not sort of discussed it, my sense of it would be that to get faculty perspective. Do faculty want it or they don't want it? If they want it, like what Patrick described, to share that in the past, it has been discipline specific in terms of the criteria and the formula that have been used, that it could be in some disciplines spelled out in the operating paper that perspective of what faculty sort of thoughts and opinions are to guide the discussion. So that's my sense of it.
Thank you. Senator George Ceramic.
So I'm in large agreement with my colleague just down the hall from me in the third floor painter, Dr. Punske, about that this is largely, almost entirely a collective bargaining issue. And I was also puzzled, being a member of the executive committee, why the Senate was involved. If you were to ask my as a forum, though, to talk about the merit, I would say very strongly urge the administration and the faculty association to never go beyond the unit level when it comes to this. I say this for two reasons. One, there's been some hiccup in my own new school of history and philosophy. History had a point-based structure to our merit system. Philosophy does not have that in their operating paper. We have not come to an agreement on a school-wide operating paper yet. So I'm sure this is replicated across campus where units have merged with different cultures. And this is a huge issue and needs to be resolved nightmare governance-wise. But I would also say, from putting on my disciplinary perspective, and just there are fields like mine where the book is the gold standard. It is a single authored monograph that is required for tenure, is required for promotion. And historians, myself included, often go several years without publishing anything because we're working on a giant project that might take 5, might take 10, in some cases, landmark books that change the entire field and take 15, 20 years to write. And so I'm sure most people in this university would not want me to impose a sense of merit on everybody else. And so I just ask that this be left to the department, be left to the program level, because all of our programs, all of our research inquiries, the way we do research, vary very differently. And I know that, my college is always, College of Liberal Arts, always had a difficult time when we had musicians and artists in residence. Now that they're in CAM, I guess that's that college's issue of what exactly is promotional, what exactly is tenurable. So I just share that viewpoint if you were asking. But again, I don't think this is something that Senate really has any jurisdiction over.
Well, thank you very much, Senator Joe, for your perspective. We have time for one more question, then we need to move on. And Senator Connie Maxim.
Yes, I actually have a different view on merit. So merit should actually belong to, it's something within the schools, because now that the departments are gone, so the schools will have actually, to decide within their operating papers what type, of guidelines they can use for merit. Now, when it comes to salary increases for faculty, I believe that we have the Faculty Association, and that's one of their main duty as a member of the Faculty Association. So I was a little bit, and I should say that very openly, I was a little bit disappointed, with the last negotiations. After so many years of not having any salary increase, the percentage that we got is actually a joke for me. So that's why I'm hoping that the new, leadership of the Faculty Association will do a better job in negotiating, our salary increases.
Well, thank you so much for your comments. Because of time, we're going to move to next item. We only have 15 minutes left. We still have a few items to report. So Vice Chancellor of Research, Dr. Costa Tsatsounis, are you here?
He's not. I'm Patrick Amihere. I'm the director for OSPA, and I'm going to report on the proposals, award, and expenses that the university has engaged with. As you may recollect, last month, Dr. Tsatsoulis reported on a quarterly basis. That has changed. We are going to continue reporting proposals, award, and expenses on a monthly basis. So for that, the month of October, our office was able to submit $11.3 million worth of proposals, and we received $4.9 million as an award to the university. and the expenditure for October is about $3 million. If you compare to last month, the reports that Dr. Satsoulis provided, the first quarter, which is June, August, and September, proposals were 15.8, awards were $29.2 million, and expenditure were $12.1 million. So for 11.3, 4.9, and $3.3 million, we've done, we've seen an upward trend in proposal submission, award receipt, and the expenditures.
Thank you very much for your report. Any question, comments before we move on? We have about 40 minutes. We still have a few more reports. Okay.
I do have one question actually for Patrick.
Yes.
So Patrick, can you please update us on the status of the positions you are trying to fill at OSPA?
Yes, I'll be happy to. We had 2 employees take a different position on campus. One went to School of Medicine because they can work from home, and the other joined the police force. So I'm sure to your question as to whether police can be working out on campus, we'll get one more OSPA person being a police officer there. We interviewed for these positions, and we have 2 folks starting tomorrow. One is from outside the SIU, and the other one is a transfer from within the institution. We still have 1 position open, which is the post-award manager, that we are still working on. At the moment, I'm wearing that hat and my directorship hat, so it's a lot. But the good news is we have those positions filled, and they start tomorrow. We'll start training tomorrow.
Okay. Would it be possible to send, kind of an update to all faculty? This way they know they cannot contact the old, the ones that left and who are the new ones. So this way we know who are the people to contact in this case.
Yes, sir, we will do that. We just wanted them to come in at least the first day and report the second day, so we don't run them off.
You don't want to scare them off.
Yes, sir. So we'll do that. Oh, another point I wanted to make, I'm not sure if this is the right venue, but the FNA distribution process has been, we worked with IT successfully, and in October, we processed that in the new system. We are reviewing the data, so we'll give an update. I'm sure Dr. Satsoulis will give an update on that as to how this is going forward. We just want to make sure everything is working right. So.
Thank you so much. I need to move on. Thank you for your response and the question from Senator Maxine. We're going to move to IBHE and Senator Ni-Chang Wang.
Oh, good afternoon. Yeah, my report will be short. I will be reading from the document. The council, like I will call it council, is Faculty Advisory Council to the IBHE. We have the meeting on October 21st at the Benedictine University. That's where it's located around the suburbs of Chicago. The members discussed several issues. For instance, we talked about early college online remote learning issues and the equity plan, student debt and affordability. Particularly, I participated more extensively is higher education funding. I already asked the Chancellor about our equity plan, and then I uploaded a website for you to check on that. And another issue, particularly to the council, is how we can actively participate in the discussion of the state IBHE setting they have 4 working groups. One is called the adequacy working group. Another one is called the resources working group. These 2 groups will have the last meeting on November 17th, as in 2 days. I will be attending one of the work group meetings, and hopefully we're going to provide some comments from the council's higher ed funding work group. After November 17th, those 2 groups will merge together. Hopefully they will be able to develop some kind of concrete plan for the future higher ed funding of Illinois. 2 guest presentations were given during the meeting. The first one was given by Dr. Ken Nobold, Provost. He is Provost and Chief Academic Officer at BU, Benedictine University. He presented particularly on the campus progress, EU campus progress made on DEI. DEI means diversity, equity, and inclusion. They are particularly put extra effort by listening and also having dialogues with their students and the faculty. Particularly interesting, they also held this one-day teach-in social justice. During this process, they counseling classes, and then they have students and faculty deeply engaged in this conversation and not among themselves. And also they invite speakers from outside of campus talking about this. And then the campus also becomes a LBGT friendly campus. The second presentation was given by Mr. Sean Caston. He is a U.S. representative of Illinois, the 6th congressional district. He particularly talked about or gave his view about the higher education investment. He made 2 comments. One is like, is his belief, or he think historically the higher public investment in education, in higher education, made U.S. a leader in the 20th century. So from that perspective, he's particularly pro investment in higher education. And he also touched upon the rising cost of health care that forced all the states to move the money or the investment of higher ed to the health care. So that's his version of explaining why higher ed funding is decreasing. And he also talked a little bit about the student debt crisis. And particularly, he mentioned the misinformation about the government accounting that claims forgiving students loan debt will cost taxpayers. I do not know how that will work out, but that's his statement.
Could you wrap up, Ni-Chong?
Okay. Yeah. As one sentence, like they talk about the he particularly encouraged us to think about the higher ed funding beyond the current convention. The next meeting will be on this Friday. Hopefully I will be able to report to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry, no time for the question. We move to the Graduate Council report, 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, everybody. My telephone is ringing here. There wasn't any resolution read in the last meeting of the Graduate Council, so I don't have anything to participate with. Thank you.
Thank you. That's less than 2 minutes. That's good. Okay. Now we have one more report from ad hoc committee on institutional ranking, education quality, and we have Mike Heinen, Joe Shiramick, Inan Jokovsky, and myself, or anyone, or Inan, Joe, Mike, are you there?
No report.
No report. Okay.
We do have a report. We're reconfiguring and updating our information, and we lost a couple of members that were of value, so we pulling all the information we had into a shared drive and coming up with our next steps that we'll report next meeting.
Very good. Well, thank you so much. If you have any question for this committee or graduate council or faculty senate, IPHE representative, you may write to them individually. We'll have no other business, and we have 4 minutes left. So do you want to have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Anyone move it?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, anyone second?
I second it.
Okay, so Lee Chong second, so all in favor say bye.